What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing, in the spirit of the recent flyweight title announcement of Kaya Sakura versus Alessandro Pantoja, I'm going to be predicting future up-and-coming undeserved title shots or potential undeserved title shots. Some of these are going to be conditional, like if a certain fighter wins the belt, this guy might get a title shot. Some of them are just going to be general, like I just could see this guy getting a blatantly undeserved title shot. And yeah, we're going to be discussing a few fighters, maybe one in each division, couple more, or couple divisions with two fighters, and yeah, I'll be justifying why I think I could see this happening. I think I'm spot on with some of these. I think these are some good selections. Let me know in the comments who you could see getting an undeserved title shot in the coming year in 2025. But yeah, for now, let's discuss the undeserved title shots that I think are going to happen, starting off with the flyweight division. Bro, could you not, tell me you could not just see Alessandro Pantoja somehow losing to Kaya Sakura, gets caught, gets chinned somehow, and then Dana White goes to the press conference, and or like, okay, maybe not immediately. I don't think Tyra's going to get a title shot in his next fight, obviously. I think that would be extremely egregious. But could you not see them just running like Tatsuro Taira versus like maybe Steve Erceg, Tatsuro Taira versus maybe Kai Kara France, Tatsuro Taira versus maybe they do him versus like the loser of Albazi Moreno or something, or the winner of Cap and Bruno Silva, or the winner of Charles Johnson Sumaderji, or something like that. Any of these fights, they give him a fight against some lower ranked guy, right? Tyra wins, everyone's like, oh, he's back, right? Maybe that happens in like February or something. And then we see Pantoja lose to Asakura. Even if Pantoja beats Asakura, but I think more likely this could happen if Asakura beats Pantoja. I've got another one in a second for if Pantoja beats Asakura, but let's just say Asakura wins. Could you not just see Albazi having a kind of lackluster fight with Moreno and gets like a split decision that people kind of disagree with and call a robbery? Dana goes to the post-fight press conference. What's the question? Albazi? Yeah, the fucking decision was disgraceful. You know how I feel about the judges, guys. It needs to change, but I'm not gonna fucking do anything to change it. Like, he's not happy with Albazi. He puts him down, doesn't give him credit for his performance, right? And then maybe Roval's calling for a title shot, saying, I'm next. Maybe Roval, this is what I could see, Roval weighs in as the backup for Pantoja and Asakura. Yes or no? You could see that happening. And then what I reckon will happen is they're going to go to the press. Asakura's going to win. It's like, what? Asakura, what's next for him? You know, Tyra's booked. We're doing him versus Manel Cap, or we're doing him versus Steve Erceg. That's a badass fight. That's going down February. I'd love to see Kaya Sakura fight the winner of that fight. I think, how could you not think that's a badass fight? And then just blatantly ignore Albazi and Royval and just give this dude a title shot coming off one win and give him the title shot instead of Royval when Royval beat him. Like, could you not just close your eyes and just imagine the press conference of like Tyra gets a fight booked in like February, and it's already maybe it's already booked by the time this title fight rolls around, or something like that. Or maybe Dana White announces a fight for Tyra at the post-fight press conference and just says, imagine Tatsuro Taira versus Kaya Sakura in Japan. That's a massive fight. Japanese market. We've been looking to get into the Japanese market for ages. That's just, what other fight would there to do? Like, what else makes sense? Like, I could so see Dana White doing that. So yeah, I predict that if Kaya Sakura beats Pantoja, this is not Tyra's getting the next title shot at flyweight. No, I think if Asakura beats Pantoja, I could very much see Dana going to the press conference and giving him the title shot. Or just calling or push, maybe not immediately giving it to him, but like pushing for a fight with Tyra and Asakura. Anyway, let's move on to the next guy. Now, this is where that same scenario happens that I outlined before in terms of that happens in terms of Albazi has a really shit performance, arguable robbery against Moreno. Royval weighs in as the backup. Pantoja subs Asakura in the first round or something, and then Dana White, and then because El Mumbai is fighting this weekend, and maybe he has a show. If he wins a decision this weekend against Matheus Nicolau, I retract this, and I don't think he will get one. But even maybe a fight after that, I think it would still be considered undeserved. But if he wins this, he's going to be ranked number 7. If you're ranked within the top 10, Dana will just shamelessly give you a title shot. Maybe, yes or no, I could see this happening. Shavkat beats Bilal. Reporter asks Dana, when do you reckon we could see the UFC go to Kazakhstan? Dana White's, what's the question? Kazakhstan? Yeah, it's a market that we've been looking to get into. We're looking to go everywhere since COVID, you know? And then say, like, you know, that Almabayev kid looked really good against the other month. You know, I reckon who doesn't want to see him against Pantoja? That's a test. That's a, you know, he's already beaten Royval, he's already beaten Moreno. And just immediately ignore Albazi and then just book Almabayev versus Pantoja as like a UFC Kazakhstan co-main event. And then Pantoja just continues to get the weirdest fucking title fights ever. Like, yes or no, could you not see that happening? Shavkat beats Bilal. Fucking insert reporter asks Dana if the UFC ever wants to go to Kazakhstan. Shavkat's gonna have a great performance, so Dana's gonna be like, you know, that's something we're open to. We're not opposed to going anywhere. And then they try and organize a fucking Kazakhstan card with Shavkat, and then a co-main event of Almabayev versus Pantoja. Like, bro, maybe I'm stretching it here. Maybe this is like too far-fetched, but like, I think that's like within the realm of possibility. If Albazi has a shit fight against Moreno, and then Royval, Dana's just like, he's already fought him twice. Nobody wants to see that fight again. Something like that, I could see that happening. Anyway, let's move on to the Bantamweight division. Bantamweight, there's only one guy I can think of that could get an undeserved title shot, and his name is Sean O'Malley, because I could just see this dude yapping his way into a title fight. Either Marab beats Unibrow, Marab beats Umna, and Dana goes to the press conference and is like, you know, O'Malley looked off. That's a fight that I think is competitive. That's a competitive rematch. Who doesn't want to see that ran back? And then someone's going to be like, Dana, Figgy just KO'd Peter Yan a month ago. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but like, scenario if it does, or like Peter Yan looked really good. Yeah, but guys, look, Marab, he already beat Peter Yan. Figueiredo, it's like O'Malley's a former champion in bantam, like some shit like that. Dana's gonna just try and justify it because there's a clear number one contender. Like, it's the same thing I outlined with Flyweight. Clear number one contender fight night main event, 5 rounds. Albazi versus Moreno. Winner should get a title shot. Maybe not if it's Moreno. And then same with Bantamweight. Yan and Figgy. Winner is like almost undeniable for a title shot after Marab and Umna, right? But could I not just see them just doing O'Malley and he just doesn't even need to fight? Like, I know he's saying I'll fight Umar or whatever, if Marab doesn't want to fight him before March or some shit like that, because he's probably just trying to steal a title shot maybe. They definitely are not going to do that fight if it's not for a belt. So if Marab wins, I could see Dana White calling for a rematch. And then the same logic he used with Izzy and Strickland, very similar logic there. And then if Unibrow wins, if Umar wins, he's going to go on the Khabib Conor kind of thing and compare. We got an undefeated Dagestani guy in O'Malley that basically was undefeated until his last fight. Some shit like that. Try and sell that and then do that as like a fucking... Do that in like Saudi Arabia. Like, we got a card coming to Saudi in February or some shit like... I don't know, because Marab Umar would happen before then, obviously. Or like, we got a Saudi card coming in May. And, you know, what better main event than Umar against O'Malley? That's a massive fight. You cannot tell me the fans don't want to see that matchup. And yeah, do some bullshit. Like, who in here thought, just guilt trip the fans into thinking like they doubted O'Malley or something? Be like, bring up the Aljo fight. Like, who in here thought O'Malley was going to beat Aljo? Exactly. You can't doubt this guy. Some shit like that, Dana's going to put him over and try and give him a title shot. This one is not even far-fetched. The other two, the flyweight ones, Tyra and Almabayev, those are a bit far-fetched. I could just so see them running O'Malley against the winner of Umar Marab without him even having to fight. Like, yes or no, that is probably going to happen. Anyway, let's move on to the featherweight division. A featherweight, you might be asking why Movzar is here, because Movzar is arguably quite deserving of a title shot. This is not me saying Movzar's going to get an undeserved title shot. This is me saying Movzar's never going to get a deserved title shot, and I don't know who's going to get it instead of him. Because it would just be that undeserved that there's not even like a clear... Because what I think is going to happen is I think they're going to run the winner of Ilya and Holloway against Volkanovski in February, right, in Australia, because I think that's when they go in Australia. They probably run that, assuming the winner can turn around like that. And then after that, they run the winner of that fight against Lopez, who I could see them trying to make fight before then because Lopez is just a G and is going to stay active. Or maybe they do Lopez and Evloev, right? In which case, if Lopez wins that, then Evloev wouldn't deserve a title shot. But what I could see happening is Evloev just kind of sitting out because he waits out a lot. Like, he's very inactive a lot of the time. Evloev sits out, waits out, doesn't fight for fucking ages, clearly deserves a title shot, and it's going to be like Shavkat, who sat out a year, but at least Shavkat got his. But Evloev, I could see sitting out for like a year, and then by this time, like, Gene Silva's in the top 10, or like Lerone Murphy's coming off a few wins, or like fucking Arnold Allen even. Like, if he just gets robbed of a title shot, like from a guy who he already beat, like maybe Yair gets like a crazy like Yair fights fucking, I don't know, Giga Chikadze and KOs him with a head kick, and they'd be like, Yair Vasily, that's a bad. Mexico versus Spain, massive fight. Like, some shit like that, and they just... And I think what it's going to be a case of is Movzar's just not going to fight again before then, or if they do make him, he's just going to always be a victim of bad timing, and any time... And then some other guys, there's going to be some other top 10 matchup that gets made that some guy gets a good win and looks really good and then makes himself more kind of memorable than Movzar, who's just going to sit out, I think. He's going to beat Aljo, and he's not going to fight again, and then he's going to call for a title shot and just say, I deserve a title shot, inshallah, I'm getting a title shot, and then he's just not going to get a title shot. I think that might happen, because I know there is some Dagestani privilege. Movzar ain't Dagestani. He's fucking English or Urgish or whatever fuck. Some nerd keeps commenting on my videos anytime I call him Dagestani. So yeah. Anyway, that's my prediction is Movzar's just never going to get a title shot, despite he's going to beat Aljo like 29-28. It's going to be boring as all Movzar fights are, unless it's Lopez. And then he's going to wait out and then just keep getting passed up. Like, Volk will get his against the winner of this fight. Lopez will get his. Maybe Lerone Murphy gets one. Maybe fucking even like Josh Emmett fucking gets a big meaty hook KO and somehow gets a title shot or something like that. Arnold Allen, Lerone Murphy, Gene Silva, Jack fucking Jenkins, I could see getting a title shot before Movzar, honestly. Like, someone's just going to get a title shot, completely undeserved, and it's going to be just obnoxiously fucking disgraceful, undeserved title shot. But we're all going to support it, because fuck Movzar. Anyway, let's move on to the lightweight division. Lightweight, Michael Chandler, if this fucking dumb Shakespeare wannabe, motivational speaker-ass dude somehow catches Oliveira and beats him, which I have a bad feeling is going to happen, even though Oliveira logically should win. If Michael Chandler somehow catches Oliveira, flukes his way with some big meaty hooks and just blitzes him and finishes him like he was close to doing in the first fight, and he gets on the mic and hits an amazing promo in the co-main event of MSG, and then just gets the whole crowd going crazy because people don't remember anything else other than what's going on in that moment. Like, I'm sorry, bro, like, fucking Jared Cannonier is boring, he's not going to say anything, but like, Derek Lewis could fucking KO, like, Sergey Spivak in front of a crowded arena and then call for a title shot with enough energy and they'd probably give it to him. Like, if you call for a title shot after a crazy KO or run some massive promo after a crazy KO, people will just be like, oh my god, that's sick, and just forget that someone else deserves a title shot. Even if they haven't booked Islam and Arman, even though that seems... I don't think Arman's going to get passed up, to be honest. I do think Arman's going to get his title shot, but I think it's the one after that, where it's like Dan Hooker would be more deserving than Michael Chandler, even though Chandler beat him a while ago. Like, Poirier, not even. I could see Poirier... I don't think Poirier gets... I think he's done with title shots, actually. But, like, I don't know, someone like... I'll talk about someone else in a second, but, like, I could just see if Chandler beats Oliveira... And there's clearly going to be someone who deserves it more than Chandler who hasn't fought in 3 years. But he's going to run some promo. He's going to call out Makachev. He's going to call out Conor first. And then he's going to be like, if I can't get Conor, give me a title shot. Yes or no, that's what Chandler's going to do if he wins. And then Dana White goes to the press conference and says, like, Chandler looked great tonight, you know. He waited out a long time for Conor. But I reckon him and Islam... That's an interesting fight, and they might just do that. Like, could you not see Chandler just fluking his way into a title shot after one win against Oliveira, coming off losses and looking mid, and then he just catches Oliveira and gets a title shot. I could see that happening. But let's talk about someone else at lightweight that I could see getting an undeserved title shot. Fucking Paddy the Baddy lad, I swear to fucking God, mate, I'll tell you, I'm getting a fucking world title shot. Excuse me for the impression, I know it needs work, but Paddy Pimblett, I need a fucking cheeseburger. I don't know. But what I think is going to happen, this is my prediction. I'm about to lay this out perfectly, and you guys are going to come back to this video and call me Mystic Left Lane because I predict these things. This is what's going to happen. Paddy's going to fucking fight Beneil Dariush and win because Beneil's washed. And he's going to beat Beneil Dariush and look kind of mid, but also look kind of decent at moments and win that fight. And then maybe he gets like an old, washed, on the wrong end Dan Hooker coming off a war against like Gaethje or something like that. Or maybe he gets like just a fucking, I don't know, who could he get that is beatable? Like, or maybe they just do it straight after the Dariush fight. Like, bro, I know they should do Moicano. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to try and do Paddy his own way and give him winnable fights because I think Moicano's problems for him. But I think they're going to do Paddy versus Dariush. He'll have like a top 10 ranking next to his name. I think it'll be like number 6 or 7. And they might just give him a title shot. Like, yes or no, could you not see Dana just being, he beats Dariush. Paddy looked great tonight. You know, what can you say? Oliveira beat Dariush, got a title shot off him. So what's any different about Pimblett? You know, I think if you don't like him, you are just hating. He will just say some shit like that and justify Paddy getting a title shot. Or he beats Dariush and then gets one other win, in which case it would be slightly more deserved, but still probably undeserved, given that, like, he's going to go from, like, maybe it's not like an undeserved title shot, but it's like an undeserved path. Like, it's like O'Malley technically deserved a title shot after scraping a win over Peter Yan, but he also didn't deserve to fight Peter Yan. So it's like Paddy's going to go from fighting Bobby Green and being, like, number 15 ranked to, like, Dariush at, like, number 7. And then maybe, like, just gets a number 1 contender fight or just fights for the belt. Could see that definitely happening. Anyway, let's move on to the welterweight division. Kamaru Usman, they can't even spell your name right. Usman, fucking little Maltese head. Slapped the nails off him as well, you know that. Kamaru Usman, I apparently don't take this with a grain of salt. Apparently Usman's got a fight in the works. Apparently he's got someone cooking. Maybe he's fighting Brady. Maybe he's fighting JDM. Maybe he's fighting Ian Gary. Maybe it wouldn't be Colby, but like Brady, Gary, JDM. Those are the 3. Doubt it's Ian Gary. I think they're doing Ian Gary versus Colby. I'm still convinced it's Gary versus Colby. So maybe it's Leon and JDM, or it's Leon and Brady, and then it's Usman and JDM. I think it's Usman versus Brady or Usman versus JDM. That is my prediction. I think they're going to end up doing Gary versus Colby, but maybe not. But anyway, I could see Usman getting a win there and then just getting a title shot. And it wouldn't be obnoxious, right? Because he would technically be in the top 5, but it would be like, bro, you're coming off 3 losses right now, and you're going to get a title shot. Now, bro, there's so many guys at welterweight that deserve it. Ian Gary could deserve a title shot with, like, another win. JDM arguably deserves one now. If JDM got one now, it would be more deserved than Usman getting one with a win over Brady. Brady with one more win deserves it more than fucking Usman would with one more win, because at least Brady's coming off a win. Or coming off 2 wins, actually. But it is, to be fair, Brady's kind of nuts. He's gone from losing to Bilal, beating unranked Gastelum, who came down for middleweight, beating top, 7 Gilbert Burns, and then he's probably going to get Usman. I wanted to see Buckley versus Usman, but apparently Usman's got someone in the works. If it's JDM, if Usman beats JDM, that's fair enough. You give him a title shot off that, that's a great win. But if he beats, Brady, it's just kind of iffy. Or, what would be even more obnoxious, is if Shavkat or Bilal wins, I think they're more likely to give him an undeserved title shot if Bilal. I think if Bilal wins, I could see Bilal for some reason calling for an Usman fight and being like, Usman's I'm trying to chase the greatness of GSP or whatever. I'm trying to be one of the welterweight goats. I got to fight one of the welterweight goats to be a welterweight goat. Something like that, and just bullshit some reason. And then Dana glazes Usman quite a bit. Dana likes Usman, so he could be like, that's a great idea. Bilal, I like where your head's at, buddy. That's the fight we want to do. Get ready, kid. February. Like, he just turns him around in 2 months. But, like, could you not see Usman? Look, maybe he's got a fight booked, in which case, fair play. He should have to fight at least one more time. I think he should fight twice. But I could see it, and Usman getting a title shot just obnoxiously. If Shavkat wins, I think they're more like... But even if Shavkat wins, like, I feel like maybe they don't... They always kind of want an established guy in a title fight. Most of the time. Like, either the champion, but the champion has to be, like, long reigning or, like, at least well-known. Or they make the contender an undeserved fight, like Leon against Colby, right? Where the contender just comes in and makes a whole fucking big deal out of it, and it's undeserved. That's what I could see. Like, I don't know if they do Shavkat against JDM as a title fight. I don't know why, I just can't see them making that as a title fight. Maybe I'm wrong. But something like, I could just see them doing Usman instead and being like Shavkat Usman, bigger fight. They always go with the bigger name, and that's what I'm going to talk about in just a second. But yeah, I could see Usman totally just getting a fucking title shot without even fighting, or maybe one more win, which wouldn't be too bad, but it would still be pretty obnoxious. Kenny would justify it though, because we know Kenny loves calling out some undeserved title fights, and then coincidentally justifying others just based off just some coincidental factors that have no correlation. But yeah, that's what, because wasn't he literally saying Usman should fight Bilal? Like, it's just weird. Anyway, let's move on to the middleweight division. I manifested this. Trust. Israel Adesanya, yes or no? This guy's probably going to get a fucking title shot without even needing to win another fight. Like, I'm sorry. Because they're going to do Dricus Strickland. If Dricus wins, maybe they don't run it back that quickly, because it would be kind of weird for Dricus's title reign to go Strickland, Izzy, Strickland, Izzy. Like, that would be fucking bit odd. That was like when Islam was, like, obviously ended up pulling out, but it was about to go from fucking Oliveira, Volk, Oliveira, and then maybe Volk again, but it ended up just being Oliveira, Volk, Oliveira. Oliveira, Volk, Volk. That was Islam's 3-fight run, where it's just a bit weird to see the same guy. So I don't think if Dricus wins, they'll do Izzy Dricus, but then maybe they're not going to have the timing, because they want to do this fight early Jan or early Feb or whatever. They're not going to have the timing to do this in Africa, so maybe they then try and do an Izzy Dricus rematch in Africa. Totally could see that. Or maybe Izzy sits out a little bit. I know he said he wants to stay active, but maybe they just don't even come to him with like an Amavov fight or a Borrelio fight. They come to him in like 6 months and just be like, yeah, they get like the winner of, or if Strickland wins, they could do Izzy Strickland. I don't know, that seems a bit weird, but like, it's weird. I don't really know how they're going to get there, but I could just see it happening. Or even if Izzy wins one fight, he actually wouldn't deserve a title shot. I know Kenneth is saying, oh, if Izzy wins one more, he's right back in there, give him a title shot. No, it's not how it works. You have to actually fucking be a contender for once, not just be a privileged champion. I know Izzy's used to growing up privileged, but like, you can't just be a privileged champion. You can't lose the belt to Pereira, good job. Win it back, great job. Lose it immediately with no defenses in that title reign. Get another title shot while coming off a loss, also as a champion with no defenses at that time, and then win a fight against a contender and then get one more. Unless he beats, like, Hamza for some reason a non-title fight, which I just doubt would happen. But, like, if he fights Borrelio and wins, I'm sorry, bro, you got to fight one more. Like, you need another fight. There's guys that deserve it more than you. Amavo's done more work recently than Izzy. Just going to say that. But yeah, I'm not just going to be here to hate on Izzy, because I know that's what it turns into anytime I talk about him, justifiably so. But I do think I could just see them giving Izzy an undeserved title shot, yes or no. Anyway, let's talk about another fighter for the middleweight division. Yes or no, Hamza wins the belt against whoever, they give Paulo Costa a title shot coming off a win over fucking Jared Cannonier. Like, Paulo Costa, I could so see they run him versus Cannonier, who at this stage is on the world unsighted cooked. Like, I think Cannonier is going to look shit when he comes back. I think Costa's always just not been technically good, but his chin's there, his speed's still there, he's still got power, but his technique's just mid, right? So he gets outclassed. Cannonier, I don't think it's going to outclass him. I think Cannonier could look washed and he beats Cannonier, right? Maybe beats a Manson or a Delidzi. I could see that. Bro, imagine they do Costa versus Dolidze as like the main card opener of a fucking pay-per-view in like February or some shit, right? Or March. And then Costa gets a fucking decision win. And then in the meantime, they do Dricus and Strickland. They wouldn't do it if Strickland won, obviously. That fight was dead. If Dricus wins, maybe they do that. Or they do Dricus Strickland. Winner of that fight's the winner of Khamzat Whitaker. If somehow Khamzat comes out on the end of that and doesn't manage to pull out of all of those fights, and we get Khamzat as champ, could you not just see them going back and forth on Twitter and just kind of yapping their way into a title fight? And just passing over a Mavov and Braulio. I feel bad for Mavov and Braulio, because you're just automatically set behind if you're not, like, already an established guy. Like, you got to work real hard to get there, and then once you're there, you can just... I mean, not everyone has to work really hard to get there, but, like, you got to work pretty hard to get there, but then once you're there, you're in that top 5, and it's like the fucking lightweight bubble, where Poirier and Gaethje and Chandler would just fight once and then demand a title shot. Or in Gaethje and Poirier's chance, like Gaethje lost to Khabib, beat Chandler in a Fight of the Year war like a year and a half later or a year later, and then gets a title shot against Oliveira. Or Poirier I think had like a few fights in there, but even like lost to Gaethje, beats BST, fights Islam. I know it was situational, but like that's the thing. Once you get there and once you're an established name in the top 5, you can just get title fights. But with his Braulio and Mavov, even though they're like number 4 and 5 or 5 and 6, something like that, I could just see the UFC being like, nah, we're gonna give it to fucking Izzy or Costa or fucking Strickland if he loses and just gets an immediate rematch, or Whitaker. Like, they're going to give it to anyone but Cannonier and Braulio, and those two are probably going to end up fighting each other, even though they probably should be getting their own separate number 1 contender fights. But regardless, yeah, I could so see Costa beating fucking Dolidze and then Khamzat wins the belt and they just do Costa versus Khamzat. Like, I could see that happening. Anyway, let's move on to the light heavyweight division. Light heavyweight division, could you not just see Magomed Ankalaev getting a 29-28 lackluster decision over Alexander Rakic? Carlos Ulberg goes out there and KOs Volkan Ozdemir, and then Dana White gives Carlos Ulberg a title shot against Pereira. Yes or no, I am just seeing into the future in every way. Alex Pereira versus Carlos Ulberg for the UFC February in Australia main event, because for some reason they're not going to be able to get Volk there and they're going to need a main event, so they're just going to do Ulberg because he's from New Zealand, and they're going to do Pereira because Pereira can fucking headline fucking Beijing and it'll be fine. Pereira can go and headline fucking, I don't know, Johannesburg or some shit. Pereira can headline Ontario, Canada. Like, he can go anywhere and headline. So 1, it's Pereira, he can headline anywhere. 2, Ulberg's Kiwi. So if they for some reason can't get Volk versus the winner of Ilya and Max, maybe they have a war, can't turn around. Maybe they can't, and maybe they try and do Strickland Dricus, but they probably are going to do that for January. Or they do Arman Islam January, Strickland Dricus in Australia. Maybe, because both of those guys' last fight was in Australia. I mean, actually, no, that's wrong. But both of them won the belt against Izzy in Australia, or Dricus defended it. Same thing, they both fought Izzy in Australia, you know what I mean. But Ulberg versus Pereira is like the backup plan, and we get it announced on like 6 weeks' notice. Guys, got a fight news for it. It's a badass matchup. Your UFC 312 main event is official. The UFC's returning to Perth or Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. We got a badass main event. The most active fighter on the roster carrying our entire fucking company, Alex Pereira, is going to be defending his belt for the 4th time against rising sensation Carlos Ulberg. It's a badass fight. You do not want to miss this one, guys. Like, and then they ask him, be like, Dana, why is Ankalaev not getting... He had a fight. He was hurt. Like, timeline just didn't match up. Like, they're just going to deliberately keep booking title fights when Ankalaev's not ready. And just to be like, we can't force the kid to fight. You know, we book on our schedule and he couldn't meet our schedule. Some shit like that. And Ulberg gets a fight. Or maybe Rakic beats Ankalaev, in which case I just don't see them doing Rakic Pereira and they just do Ulberg. Like, yes or no, that's going to fucking happen. Anyway, let's move on to the heavyweight division. Heavyweight, I couldn't really think of any ranked heavyweights that are going to get undeserved title shots. Like, they're all bums. Like, it's going to be the winner of Volkov and fucking Gane against Aspinall for the interim title. And then maybe if Almeida beats Spivak or whatever, because they're fighting, aren't they? Almeida beats Spivak. he might get one or something, interim title. But what I'm saying here with Poatan is, this is, again, obviously, I know I just mentioned that he might get, he might fight Olberg in an undeserved title shot, but this is just kind of situational. Because if Jones fights Stipe, says, I'm thinking about retiring, I'm probably going to go away for a little bit, you know, doesn't want to put the belt down, stubborn about it, Dana White kind of gets a bit frustrated post-fight and be like, I have no doubt that Jon Jones is going to fight again. And then Jones just makes it abundantly clear he's not fighting Aspinall and just ducks blatantly. And then they'd be like, guys, Alex Pereira versus Jon Jones is massive. Massive. Like, that fight gets me fucking erected. Like, that's what Dana White's going to say at the post-fight interview. And then just do this. Undeserved in terms of, like, Pereira getting a heavyweight title shot wouldn't be undeserved, but it would be undeserved if Pereira gets a title shot against Jon Jones instead of Aspinall getting his undisputed title shot against Jon Jones. That would be the undeserved part. So that's what I predict might end up happening if Jones doesn't make it abundantly clear that he's retiring and just says, like, oh, I might come back, and then talks to Dana backstage and be like, yeah, I'm not fighting Aspinall, give me Pereira, otherwise I'm not fighting again. And Dana wants money, so he'll do that fight. That's what I could see. But let's talk about one other fight. Now, a lot of people ask me, Left Lane, why don't you talk about women's MMA more? Why don't you give more credit to women in the video? And you always do this fighter per division and you never include women. We need to see that. No one's ever said that. I'm lying. But I will talk about one woman, because she's the only interesting fucking fighter of her gender. I mean, Kayla's decent, but Zhang Weili, I'm saying she is going to get an undeserved flyweight title shot against Shevchenko. And the reason I say this is because I put 2 and 2 together, and because I have basic critical thinking. And I realized that Yan Janan versus Tabitha Ricci is booked, so that takes that off the table. Suarez versus Jandiroba is booked, that takes that off the table. They're not giving a title shot to fucking Lemos. They're not giving a title shot to Mackenzie Dern. They're not going to do that. But they said they've got Zhang Weili news coming soon. And to me, that can only mean that she's going to be fighting for the flyweight belt against Shevchenko, which would be undeserved because Manon Fiorot clearly deserves a title shot because she's coming off multiple wins at flyweight and beat Erin Blanchfield. Now, this would not be egregious. This would not be the most disgraceful thing ever. But I think it is a potential undeserved female title shot, and I could see it. Because Dana White said, we talked about Weili today. We got news for her coming soon. And then the reporter's like, can you tell us? And Dana White, no, shut the fuck up. That's what Dana said. So I could see them doing Weili Shevchenko because they just need interesting women's fights. And again, Manon Fiorot, Valentina Shevchenko, just when and where are they going to fucking put that fight? Like, what random fucking UFC 314 co-main event is that going to be? Like, I don't know. That's what that would be, but I think they might try and do this. Maybe even as like a fight night main event or as like a co-main event, or they be like just completely disgraceful and try and main event this is on a pay-per-view. And yeah, that would be terrible. But that is video done, guys. I will never succeed, or I will never fail, to yap for more than half an hour every video. It's standard practice at this point. If you stuck around this long, give me a like, give me a subscribe if you haven't already. Follow my Instagram, Left Lane MMA, Twitter, I think it's the same thing probably. And yeah, drop some more videos you guys want to see in the comments. If you do, I was going to do a video about what fighters need to do to become the GOATs of their weight class, but that requires more preparation, and I was halfway through doing it, and then I had to go to a dinner, so I couldn't get that one done before I went to bed, so I just chucked this one together quickly. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I think I'm cooking with some of these undeserved title fights. Again, not saying these should happen, but I think they will, and we'll come back to this video and see how many of these end up panning out. But yeah, peace out, guys. Goodbye.